Today, grade 6, we are going on a field trip. We are going to go visit a number of different places to be able to learn about some of the things that Jesus teaches his disciples. These come from all over the book of John, and I'm excited to get to go out and about and take this virtual field trip with you. So, let's go. We are at some vineyards. You can see over there the grapevines that are growing there, and we are going to go walk around a little bit. Hey guys, we're here. I tried to go into the building at the winery, but nobody was there. So hopefully, I want to introduce you to some grapevines right here. These are at the very, very beginning stages. You can see right here just the little buds that are starting to. But if you notice, they're all cut in a certain kind of way. Right here we have the what the gardener has done has trimmed off or has pruned. You can see how these have been cut off there at the tip, and those got cut off at the end of the season last time. Jesus tells his apostles about how he is the vine. Oh my goodness gracious! He's the vine, and they are and believers are the branches. So what he's saying is that he's this root, he's the source of everything, and then out from him grows all of the believers. He says that unless we stay rooted in him, stay connected with him, we're worthless. We're just dead branches that we have to stay connected with him in order to actually grow any fruit, right? Branches that don't stay connected to those vines, gardener cuts those off so that the next year it can grow new ones, right? And this is just the beginning, right? It's early spring. If the gardener didn't cut off these things, then these old branches, these dead branches, nothing new could grow here. Jesus says, you know what? The bad things in your life, God needs to cut those out. And if you don't let God cut those bad things out of your life, you're not going to grow anything good. We know about the fruit of the Spirit, right? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Well, if we don't have the cruddy, dead parts of our life cut out, then there's going to be no good fruit that gets to grow. So that is the illustration of branches. In the woods here on this little trail. I'm not quite sure where it goes, but I found a little creek right here. You can see there's a little bit of water in it. It's moving pretty slowly, but it's also been raining quite a bit. When it's not raining, like in the middle of the summer when there's not too much rain, my guess is that this little creek, it dries up. Jesus, when he's sitting with the woman at the well, right? The woman who has had 4 different husbands, the woman who's very sinful, who realizes this. Jesus knows her and Jesus loves her and welcomes her. And he says to her, as he asks her for water, she's like, this is so weird that he's asking me for water. Jesus said, you know, if you knew who it was who was asking you for water, you would actually ask me for water, because I give water of life. I give living water that doesn't run dry. This creek bed if it doesn't rain for a while, will run dry. Now, he talks about this living water, and it's a spring of water. This water here probably trickles in from a river somewhere, or from the lake, which is close by. The water Jesus is referring to is a spring of water. It comes up deep down from the ground, and it comes up, and it never runs dry. There's not work that has to be done. It doesn't have to rain for there to be water. It is there. It is always there. And that's the living water that he says that he provides. His water is life that's always, always flowing into us. And that life that comes from him isn't dependent upon anything else, like the weather, like a well to be kept nice, or what they had in Bible times was a cistern. It was like a big, huge, giant pot in the ground. And it had to be taken care of so the water didn't leak out. And that's not the water that Jesus is talking about, a spring of water that flows up from the ground, continuously, always providing fresh life. Path that we're going to go on: Dogwood Loop to Adventure Walkway and Ghost Railway Trail. Bum bum bum! Here we go! Surrounded by trees right now, and because it's such early spring, a lot of the trees look dead. For instance, this one right here. It looks super dead, no leaves at all on it. But if you look closely, you can see how it is just starting to get some leaves on it. Now we know that for trees, in the wintertime they don't actually die. They might look dead, but there's still life inside. They're just kind of hibernating for the winter, right? Until the sun is shining and they can do photosynthesis to get their energy. But what God does is he takes things that are actually dead, right? Lazarus had been dead for 4 days, so there was no doubt about it. He was completely dead. Take this for example. This is completely dead. This has even started to decompose. You can see on it, oh, come on, focus. There's little grubs and stuff on it. Oh, come on, focus. Let's see. I don't know if you can see the little grubs. There's little grubs and stuff on it. This is dead. Now, if this were going to start growing, now that would be a true miracle, how it would be turned in. Jesus says he is the resurrection and life, takes things that are completely dead and makes them into something that is very much alive. Yeah, anybody else want to come and pick up some dead sticks and look for grubs? Sounds fun. Here we are at another stop to help illustrate the idea of the resurrection and the life. Because to fully understand what it is to be resurrected, you really have to understand what it is to die. Old, turned over, hundreds of years old, I would assume. Wonder if any of them have dates on them. Here we go. Peter Cutterback, born in 1777 and died in 1833. Oh my goodness gracious. So 190 years ago. Now this is what Jesus is talking at one point. Jesus says, he's using an illustration with his apostles. He's talking about sheep. And so he talks about a sheep gate. Now when we think about a gate, this is what we think about, right? A gate, one that maybe says no trespassing, right? But this is not the kind of gate that Jesus would have been talking about. Jesus talked about a gate when he was talking about the sheep, and he says, I am the gate. Now that seems like a really weird statement. Some of his other statements are weird, but they kind of make sense. But he says, I am the gate for the sheep. Now in Bible times, a sheep pen was had some rocks to set it in a circle. I've got a circle of benches over here. That might be able to be a good illustration for us. So let's say that these benches right here, that's where the sheep go. And so the shepherd will put all of the sheep within that little enclosure, and then there is one opening. And that opening is where the sheep would end up going in and out. But they didn't have a gate like this one, no gate like that to shut. Instead, the shepherd himself would lay down in the opening, as if he were to lay down like right there, to close in that area so that nothing could go in and mess with the sheep, and no sheep could come out. Jesus was saying there, I am keeping you safe. Also, he's saying, I am the way to be safe. I keep you safe, and I am the way. I am the one who will save you. I am the only way to salvation. And as you have salvation, I will keep you safe. Also, in that same section, Jesus makes a much more common one. He says, I am the good shepherd. Now, I do not have sheep, nor could I find any sheep on our field trip today. So I have asked somebody else to be able to share a little bit with us about what it is, about this idea of a good shepherd. So here we go.
Hi, 6th grade. So Miss Rachel wanted me to introduce you a little bit to my goats here. So I'm going to show you the two youngest ones. I think they're a month old, I want to say, something like that. But I saw them be born. So this one here is Holly, and that over there is Sprout. So they still pretty much eat from their mom. They pretty much drink milk, but they're learning to she's jumping on me right now. They learn a little bit to eat grass right now. Yep. Hey, Sprout. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed meeting some of my goats today, and if you want to see more goat videos, I've got some on my YouTube channel. It's called Women in STEM. But I hope you have a good Bible lesson, and we will see you next year in grade 7. Bye!
So here is the bakery. You can see, here's the bakery. You can see how bread is such an important part of the American diet. Actually, cookies might be an even more important part of the American diet. But in Bible times, bread was even more important. Every day they'd make bread. Every day they'd make it from scratch. They'd have to let it rise so that the yeast can do its work and everything. But here we have it. Lots of bread, the most important part of their meal, which is why when Jesus says he is the bread of life, it's such an important statement because it shows how important he is, how we need him every single day in order to have the strength and the energy to get through the day.
Right in. Follow my lead. I found a girl.
cousin's fiance. Brandon, say hi to my 6th graders.
Hi there, 6th graders.
We thank you for setting up the fire for us. So this is the final segment of our field trip. Brandon has made us a lovely fire. It's taken a couple of tries to get it going, but it looks like it might be going now. So this story takes place in John chapter 8. It's a big festival. All the people are in Jerusalem again, and it's called the Feast of Tabernacles, right? And they're celebrating stuff that happened back with Moses and the light. And one of the things that they do is in the temple, there is these 4 ginormous lamp posts. Ginormous, like multiple stories high. There's 4 of them in the big square in the women's court. These 4 big torches, candlesticks or menorahs, as the Jews would call them, would actually light up the entire city of Jerusalem. They would light it up, and it's there that Jesus said, "I am the light of the world." Right? The Jews are there celebrating how God has led them in the past, celebrating what God is doing for them now, and anticipating what God will do for them in the future. Oh, I can feel how warm it is right now. And so with that, Jesus is like, I am the light of the world. I am the one who will be celebrated later. I'm the one who brings life, who brings light, who brings warmth, who leads. What does light do? Light gets rid of what is dark. It's not very dark here yet. The sun is setting, so in a little bit it'll get darker. But light chases away the darkness, right? We have that in John chapter 1. The light was the life of all mankind. And so that's one thing that Jesus does, is he takes away the darkness so that we can see clearly, so that we can be filled with hope, we can